Come on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. That's right, you're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast, hosted through Anchor.fm and sent out everywhere that streams podcasts that you want to listen to. Your three hosts are back. My name is Nick. Tristan is across the table. Andrew is sitting to my right. Guys, we're back finally on like a normal cadence.
Yeah.
We're back to our regularly scheduled programming. It feels pretty good. What's up?
Nothing. Maybe it's just getting back into the regular swing, but I felt really good after last week's episode. It feels like
Last week's episode was a good episode.
It was
I thought.
good.
It felt good.
definitely felt good. Sounded good to me.
the
I was
playback,
very
yeah.
happy with it. Yeah.
Tristan, what are your thoughts?
How many are we at in a row now on time? Two?
Two
in a
Is
row.
that a
It's
regular cadence? 2 points make a line. Let's
You know what? That's a good point.
let's go with it.
And
Yeah.
the line is the momentum.
You got to start somewhere, right?
I wish this was us just starting.
In season 3.
Yeah.
There's no timeline to this when we have to get good, guys.
I'll remember
Well,
that.
that's clear because otherwise we'd be in trouble.
Valid.
What's our main topic tonight? We previewed it last time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we gave it away the week before, but this week we're going to talk through a list of 50 cars that you have to drive before you die.
Not chosen by us.
Correct. Autocar, European publication. I think they're a magazine. Made this list. I think last week I called it 50 cars that you have to drive, but fuck you if you aren't an auto journalist and have been for the past 20 years.
Yeah, more or less.
And I think the list bears out my title as being the more accurate one. But actually,
I would add, and from Europe.
that is also critical. However, there is an American version of this list, so we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So we're going to dive into that list. We're going to go through the 50 cars. You think, holy shit, that's a lot. Don't worry, we're not going to spend a ton of time on each car.
It can't all be wrong, right?
I hope not.
Otherwise, it's going to be a real short trip.
I would hope not. Otherwise, buckle up, folks. But before we get into that, anybody have any pace laps? I have one that I want to talk about. Tristan has one. He's raising his hand. Go for it, man.
I have one too. But
So-
Okay, everyone's got one. Sweet.
I don't know that I want to make this like into a weekly thing or anything, but I have found an interesting type of car
Again.
that I don't know, I had never heard of until last week. And it's not really a type of car, it's a type of propulsion for a car. Charcoal and wood and coal.
oh, that's a train. So Nick, what was yours?
It's not though. It's not. So here's the clever
no,
thing.
you saw Thomas. He's a tank engine. That is correct.
So that's not even it though, because there's no steam involved. It's not like a steam engine.
Thomas the electric engine?
No. So they have they have two fires going at a
Was
time.
someone
in
just
this
pushing
car.
a Weber really fast?
No. Now, I did not see this in person.
Oh. Did you go tailgating?
No, I read about it. They were used during like World War II, for example, when oil was in short supply.
Sure.
They actually had two fires going at the same time. They had an external fire, and then this vessel that you'd put charcoal or regular coal or wood into, and you'd burn it in low oxygen, which is interesting to me because I actually did this as a science experiment in 3rd grade. Nick, you may remember this story. You may remember this story, Andrew, about when I blew up the classroom.
No. I don't know the story.
Well, if you heat generally things that could burn, but you don't give them any oxygen, They just make all the stuff that burns and turn it into a gas.
Sure.
And you can pipe that gas other places and burn it. So that's how, like, you know, the London of Sherlock Holmes had gas lamps. They were taking coal and making gas out of it. And people were doing this apparently in cars. And then they're taking that gas out of that container and piping it right into, like, the carburetor, mixing it with air, and that's how the car ran.
Wow.
I guess I really have just one main question. And that question is, why the hell were you doing this as an experiment in third grade?
I found it in a book.
But
What
how
book
were you doing
were you
it-
reading in third grade?
How were you in position to do this in a classroom in third grade?
Well, so that's the good question, and I don't know the answer to that one either, because after that, I wasn't allowed to do anything in a classroom ever again.
But one day, was it the teacher walked out of the room and you just did a hostile takeover?
No, so it was a science fair. I did it as a science fair project. And basically we had this whole apparatus made out of test tubes and rubber tubing, and we found some place in Milwaukee that still sold actual coal. And we heated it with like a blowtorch. However, if somebody, not me, spaces out and sets the blowtorch down and points it at the same point of glass forever, it melts through, explodes, and sends ash all over a third grade classroom.
I'm just trying to imagine like what other science projects were being brought in for this fair. So
I can tell you.
So like there's like someone has like butterflies on pins, someone
Volcano.
like the volcano.
There's 23 volcanoes.
12 solar systems.
And one bomber.
One glass bomber.
Everyone had the baking soda volcano. Every single person.
Or solar systems.
Oh,
the solar
I didn't count for the
system-
solar systems.
But yeah, anyway, I found another application of my third grade science project, not just gas lamps in London, cars. And I was kind of blown away
Seems
that
like a really bad plan.
Blown away, get it?
I know. It seems like a terrible idea. And yet, they were using these in various places, like North Korea, until the 60s. And now they're coming back because of the oil embargoes on North Korea.
Huh.
And they don't have to abide by any traffic laws
What?
because if a cop pulls you over, you will just cover the entire roadway in smoke. That's actually the reason.
Oh my God.
So like they're mostly military vehicles. They mostly have military plates, and they're subjected to no traffic laws. Not like they could even speed, but they just like don't stop for stoplights. Just keep going, because otherwise you'll smoke out everybody near you. And they are coming back again. It's crazy.
I mean,
Do we have like a name or a manufacturer that people could go look up?
No, because they were mostly conversions
Oh,
from regular carbureted gas burning cars.
Got it.
But if you just look up charcoal or coal burning car, you'll find a bunch of pictures and a bunch of examples, and they all have weird apparatuses like stuck on top of or in the back of or whatever to make it work. And I was like, wow, ingenious and also seemingly very dangerous.
it's like the Olympic flames of sadness.
yeah.
I feel like my dad would be all over that.
As like a great idea.
A hobby.
Like he would be very interested in like learning about that.
I could teach him at least part of it.
Yeah.
Wow. When he listens, we'll find out.
I hope he listens.
Yeah, that was
He
my-
claims he does. Dad.
This is the test.
Find out if he talks to you about it.
Text me about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my interesting car thing that I read about last week. It was mentioned like in passing in a book that I was reading. It's like, and so rolled up in his charcoal burning car, and it was like never mentioned again. And I was like, what? Did I hear? So
You can't just leave it
right,
like
so
that.
I wasn't even sure I heard it right, and I had to go look it up. So
That's funny.
Very interesting. Something. So we have homework now. Go look up charcoal burning cars.
right.
Crazy. Andrew, what'd you have?
I have a formal complaint, and I have
An informal complaint.
I have a formal complaint, and man, this is really going to come across like we're shitting on Autocar today, and I guess we are. However, this isn't really their fault. So Alpine made what is the name of that car? That little sports car, the
A110?
A110. Everyone seems to love it. It seems to be very popular. A lot of people talk about it in the same way that you talk about Jesus. I don't personally see the appeal, but
Of which one?
I'm just going to leave that up to the listener.
Got him, everybody.
But so the Alpine,
Isn't it Alpine?
Whatever.
Alpine.
I don't speak French.
No, they used to make audio systems. It's Alpine. They have released a new version or a concept version of this car, and they are claiming it to be an SUV version.
No.
Yes. The article quote is this: "The enthusiast-friendly crossover is real," reckons Matty Pryor of Autocar. Here's why he's hoping Alpine Cars UK puts it into production. However, the fundamental problem with this car, and calling it a crossover, is that it is approximately one of the benefits of a crossover is like all-terrain capability, and that's one thing that Matt talks about in his article.
Yes, yes.
This is lower to the ground than every car other than the original A110. This is not a crossover. This is an Alpine with a ski rack.
Yep.
There has to be a limit to how low we can go with the crossover thing.
Reference our new car class episode from last year.
That, and we, just like I said last year, some stuff, not that crossover is a cool term, right? But just like the discussion about shooting brakes,
Yes.
words have to mean something at some point.
Yeah, you can't just decide to call it that because you want to.
Yeah. And besides, if you just marketed this as the ski version of the regular car, it would make no difference.
Yeah, the Alpine edition.
Exactly. The double Alpine.
Double Alp.
The A squared.
That's not a bad name, actually. That was mine. Anyway.
All right. So not a crossover. All right. So the one thing I wanted to talk about is it's not breaking news if you're listening to this right now. It came out a couple of weeks ago now, but there will be no more Holden in Australia.
I did see that, actually.
So the bigger overall story is that General Motors is pulling cars out of right drive markets with the exception of the C8. So kind of like what Ford has done with the Mustang, like that's the only car they're going to make and send over. So it's just sad though. Like I don't really care about the rest of it, but Holden, even though we don't have it here, like everybody knows what Holden, like that's
And it's
damn near an iconic brand. And like you've got the General Motors Ford rivalry is like big here.
Yeah.
If it's bigger anywhere else, it's Australia.
Well, I mean, that's kind of
And
the thing,
that
right?
entire thing, that entire major aspect of their car culture, gone.
It's
one pen stroke from Mary Barra.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone knows about Holden. It's on the edge of car deep lore and like car mythology, because I'm sure that everyone who's watched car shows or is kind of into the whole thing has definitely heard stories, but obviously there's no real point of reference for the nature of the rivalry other than what you've heard. It's been for us, I'm saying.
Right.
Obviously Australians know all about it, but we only can understand it by means of other comparisons, basically.
Right.
But the whole point is that the fandom there was far beyond even, I'll say, it's far beyond even the most diehard Chevy fans here in America.
Oh, it's crazy.
They live for the brand, like tattoos and fights and
Actual arrests.
Actual arrest. The success of the Australian supercar series was built on the
that
Ford
rivalry.
Holden rivalry.
That's right.
Like other brands tried to come in. Mercedes has dabbled in it. Nissan's tried to run an Ultima in it, but it was always Commodore Mustang or Commodore. Give me another.
the heck was the name of it? I don't remember. I'm so terrible with stuff like this.
Yeah.
The name of the Ford rival, it doesn't matter. The Commodore was like the Ford Falcon.
Ford Falcon, that's it.
XBXA Falcon.
Yep.
Thank you. So, gone just like that. The entire part of Australian motor enthusiast car culture is just gone. No more HSV Maloos.
Oh, you know what?
You might get those because those are
Actually, those are those technically trucks?
yes.
But they're based in a car platform. They're based on the car platform.
Aren't they based on the Commodore platform?
They are,
And they're killing the brand.
Yeah, they're killing the brand in general.
but I think you'd be hard pressed for anybody to move out of the Ute market in Australia. That's like saying we're not going to sell pickup trucks here.
What if they might though? In my mind, that I haven't read anything specifically about that, but that killing the brand implies that they're not going to keep any part of it, and that's going to be it for the Ute, which does seem impossible.
I think it is. I think because
But they only made that right-hand drive,
yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
so it can't continue on.
And if they're eliminating all right-hand drive besides the C8, like that would roll
you
up.
said all right-hand drive cars though.
I guess it just depends on what is that considered a car or a pickup, depending on the platform. Like what did we call an El Camino? Was that a car or was that a truck?
They have truck plates right now.
Right now,
But well, if they don't have collector plates.
exactly. But yeah, I just wanted to just say sorry, Australia. I'm really, really sad for you guys.
Definitely. I don't know if I just tried to look it up quick, and I don't know if they're getting rid of that. Anyway,
We can follow up on that.
Yeah, more car traditions just being ruthlessly cut down to save money. And admittedly, I think what I read, saving the brand would have cost some hilariously high number, like $11 billion or something. But first of all, I don't believe that number. And second of all,
I did read somewhere there was a. I don't remember the person's name that they quoted in the article, or what his credential was, to be honest. But he was saying that over the past decade or so, like the people who have expressed like their love for Holden have been doing it in every way but actually buying the car. So it's,
that I believe.
it's getting the swag, it's getting the shirts and the coasters and the hats and the bumper stickers and all the other stuff, but they're not actually going out and buying Holdens.
I totally believe that, because I mean, it's for one of two reasons. This seems like yet another phase of GM refusing to do a sensible thing in the American market and either kill Cadillac and Buick or kill GMC. They have too many luxury brands. None of them sell. GMC does sell, but they need to eliminate some of this shit. It's just loose and floating out there. They're spending, I mean, imagine how much money GM has invested in redoing Cadillac's image just once a year, every year for the past 5 years. That's all they do. New branding, new CEOs, golden parachutes for the old CEOs, renaming, unnaming, triple naming. All of this to save a brand that no one has cared about in decades. This seems like another symptom of that to me.
Yep.
And, you know, it's fine to do all this other stuff. It's fine to kill Pontiac when they're starting to do good shit. It's fine to end all collaboration with Toyota when that's moving cars for you. It's fine to do all this other stuff. But to me, GM has a pathological problem dealing with their luxury brands in that they're completely clueless and they just try things without any goal in mind. Like someone's going to come in and just make it better when they have no track record of keeping it even okay. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, they've already divested themselves of Opel and Vauxhall in Europe.
And
Those are
immediately they shot almost, the line graph on that goes almost vertical for how much better they did without GM.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're completely mismanaged.
They're owned by PSA now.
Yeah. And well, again, we had that talk on the podcast where they saddled with debt, blah, 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 blah. We don't know. But man, it's so crazy to me. And obviously, yes, people aren't going out to buy or weren't going out to buy Holdens. Why would they? People in Australia get all of the best European cars, plus a sampling of the best American V8 powered cars. No one's picking, unless you're buying, the Maloo or something similar, unless you're buying a Ute, no one's picking the GM V8 rear drive car. No one's picking the SS, right?
Right.
Over a Camry. No one's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, just You're right. You're right. Like
That's why they did it.
yeah, that's probably why they did it. But it's just, yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Holden, unfortunately. Anybody else have anything, or do we want to get into this 50 cars you must drive before you die?
Yeah, let's go for it.
We'll get into it right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're about to get into this list from Autocar of the 50 cars you must drive before you die. Andrew, do you want to start us off with car number 50 on the list? We're going to Letterman this thing and count from 50
From 50.
from 50 to 1.
That's how they did it.
Yeah, that's how they did it. So you
longest
want
countdown
to
ever.
get us into it?
Sure. So, okay. Just bear in mind that what we have to remember for this whole list, these are the cars that are most important out of the entire history of motoring. You must drive these before you perish.
Yes.
Before you depart and shed your mortal coil.
And number 50 is a weak entry. It's the E46 BMW M3. The reason is because it has a naturally aspirated straight six and it has balance.
It's also the best M car bargain. It's the most
You know what I want to put on my bucket list? The bargain.
Yes, exactly.
but it's accessible for someone who may not be an automotive journalist and get random cars.
We'll get to the rest of this list, and you'll see why it doesn't fit. There's so much of this list that's inaccessible. Why make the bargain?
It's a weird start. It's a weird start. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
49, the Ford Model T.
Nope.
I also say no.
No,
Not even a little bit.
because it has no impact on modern day driving whatsoever.
Exactly.
It's like operating a piece of machinery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
bringing
cool to see
motoring
it.
to the masses like none before it, changing the way the world thought about cars.
All true.
Yeah,
100%
years
which
ago.
which is why we put it on our iconic list.
Yes. Don't drive that car.
It's not. You don't have to drive it.
Also, you will instantly die.
Yay, hang
Just like they said back, you will go too fast.
Yes.
48, the Bentley Turbo R. No.
Technically not exactly brilliant, it says.
As the opening
It
statement.
leads with technically not brilliant.
If you're a car head, drive this not great car. Nope. Next.
But it's charming and it is characterful. It says.
Characterful.
I
Is that a word?
do like the phrase "tidal wave on wheels," though.
Okay. Mad cars have torque and turbos.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 47, the Renault Clio Williams. And I love the starting statement for this. Not the fastest of hot hatches, even in its day, which is fine. It's just this as your first hot hatch, A. And B, he also makes the argument at the end that Renault is the greatest creator of hot hatches.
Bullshit.
I will also say bullshit to that.
Yes.
Let's listen.
Now, however, as we discussed, this is only a list for people if you're
Not saying that they don't make
Yeah.
good ones.
if you're an auto journalist, have been for X many years, and are from Europe. We wouldn't know. We've never had a chance to drive the
Clio, no.
Renault or any other European hot hatches. So
Was the Williams, was that in association with
The
like
racing
the
team,
Formula
yeah.
One team?
Yes, correct. So this would have been like the
sporty edition.
the track edition before
track
that was
edition.
really a thing.
Yeah. We're not saying that the Renault doesn't make good hot hatches. They make the Megane, don't they?
This isn't even the best hot hatch from them.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Megane is so much better.
Any period. 46, Audi Quattro. Yes.
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 If you're making a list of 50 cars that you should drive before you die, that's got to be on it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Sedans are nothing. Modern sedans, which now all have all-wheel drive, are not. They're not the same without this.
No.
Agreed.
And I think it's and when you talk about like cars you need to drive, it's because like Model T, too interesting. One of the first 4/all-wheel drive vehicles with that 5-cylinder motor. That's an interesting thing to hear, experience, feel, drive. That's more interesting than a lot of this other stuff.
and
you know,
historically important. And
Right.
not for nothing, 200 horsepower in the 80s.
Yeah.
In a car that you can still find today.
Yes.
Right.
That's accessible.
That's meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's rare. So for a family car. Number 45 is just an outlandish, insane thought. Number 45 on this list is the Alfa Romeo GTA. Here's the kicker about this car, ladies and gentlemen. Only 500 were built. I'm sorry.
So when are we going to get to drive that?
You can't have this car on there
No.
because 498 of those
Are broke.
are in a museum or someone's garage and in pristine condition and also broken. They're all of those things. And the one that is running
The one in this picture.
there was not running shortly after, and you're not allowed within 75 miles of that car. This is just an ultra telephoto
So that
zoom.
explains the compression I'm seeing on the picture.
Exactly.
The telephoto. Yeah.
This is the best Alfa Romeo of the post-war generation. Get out of here.
God, I would hate to see what came before it.
Get out of here.
Stop.
That's
By-
one thing I did. That's one thing I like about this article overall. I was reading through it. This guy is way too hyperbolic when he's describing stuff. Like the best post-war Alpha.
The
Come on.
yeah. The
Come
best.
on.
Probably the best hot hatch. Probably got to hedge that bet.
Yeah, there's also a perhaps in the next one.
Yeah. Mhm. Number 44, the Ford Focus RS Mark I never came to America.
Nope.
Yeah. So if you can get to Europe, I might even buy it. I might like not purchase it, but I might buy that line of logic. You know, it's kind of where the fast Fords came into the modern era.
Right.
But okay.
That is true, but I think overall, it's just a side note. Like
Yeah.
this car,
Yeah, this one I don't even remember this one.
the Mark I,
the one that
Focus
came to
RS?
the one that came to the United States and blew the doors off of tuner culture, introduced drift mode.
Yeah.
yes,
You know,
yes.
and all that stuff, or all the stuff before it, the Sierra Cosworth, the Escort Cosworth, like those.
You know what? I'll even make an argument for the Ford Focus, the Americanized version of this car that we got here, which was called the SX4 or something. I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't the RS anyway. But it was essentially this car with the Americanized engine, but it had all of these same looks. That car, the American version, was more important to culture overall than this RS because they just get cars like this all the time over in Europe. We didn't have any other cars with this Euro look. It completely changed the way compacts were designed.
Yes, and viewed.
100%.
Yeah.
This is a ridiculous choice.
Perhaps the best value fast Ford you can buy today.
And we're back to value. If we're making essentially a bucket list, right? That's what this
Yeah.
is. That
On my bucket list, I'd like to go to Paris, but you could go to the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas. That's a better deal.
that's what this is.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Number 43, the Jaguar Mark II. Never heard of it.
I haven't heard of it, but reading about it, I did look this one up. That one might be interesting. It was kind of
It's the bank robber car.
right. It's the bank robber car, and also like one of the first kind of touring car race cars. It kind of like a lot of those, like the hot rod Fords and stuff here turned into NASCARs. These were what turned into like British touring cars.
I think that's
So-
going to be a no from me still.
So I'm curious to see how it drives. That one,
Well,
I'm at least-
how many of them are left? How
right,
accessible
I'm at
are
least
they?
curious on that one.
Like if you're not a journalist,
I'll give that one a maybe, but it still doesn't fall into the every gearhead.
How accessible? Oof.
Probably not.
I mean, this picture's from Goodwood, if that gives you any.
yep.
Yeah,
So
probably not many.
that's a 7-figure car.
Yeah, probably. Number 42, the Willys MB. Yes.
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 Finally a reasonable choice. Number 41, the Number 41, the Lexus LS 400. Nope. Number 40.
Again, no, wait. Before we move on, again, here's what I want to talk about: this hyperbolic writing. The most remarkable luxury car of its era.
What was its era?
The
What's
mid 90s.
What was remarkable about it?
Well, his next
How
line he says,
quiet it is.
it rode better than a Rolls.
to him, who's probably driven them both. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
And no one was buying this instead of a Rolls Royce.
That's
no
true.
one was cross shopping those days.
if you can afford to buy
By
a
the
Rolls
way.
Royce, you're not gonna be like, meh,
LS4.
LS400.
No. Next.
So this is the LS400 is the million-mile Lexus, right? As well. Remember that there was that whole thing, like the fandom around that high mileage cars. Doesn't matter.
No, don't remember.
Don't put this car on your bucket list. Don't drive a Toyota Avalon as a proud moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 40, Honda or Acura Integra Type R.
I think that one would go on my, like, how I'm viewing this is like, can you call yourself a gearhead if you haven't driven like these types of cars, and what's a good example?
Sure.
And this seems like the Japanese engineering at some of its finest, where it's that very accessible, economical, but fast as hell and could be tuned absolutely out of its mind. Much like people kind of talk about the Supra. You know, it's kind of one of those kind of things where it's fallen into legend, but I think this one may very well not be one of those things where it's like never meet your heroes. I think you could drive this one and still be impressed. Now, I haven't ever driven one. I'd like to find out, but I think this one could go on that list of like, you know, I want to be called, you know, a gearhead, petrolhead, car guy, whatever.
I want to earn that badge.
This would be that merit badge you got to earn. Drive one of these.
Guys. This is a VTEC era Civic with a body kit.
Well,
You guys.
the Type R wasn't.
That's true. The Type R.
that's
was.
what I'm talking
Type R,
about.
not just the
Just
Integra.
the Integra, the Type R.
But I will agree that this probably deserves a place on this list at 75. Top 50? Really? I don't know. It seems high to me. All right, someone else take over. Who wants to read the next ones?
All right, we'll get into the 30s here. Number 39. Come on. Oh, boy. Thanks, Andrew.
Oh boy.
Just left it off at the great spot here. Number 39, the Austin 7.
No.
Britain's answer to the Ford Model T.
If we said no to the Model T, we're also going to say no to this.
to the knockoff Model T?
Yeah, exactly.
Nope. All right, number 38, the Jaguar I-Pace.
No.
I'm just trying to read why he put it on here.
Because it's British. That's why I put it on there. It's British.
It's for what it represents. Jaguar doing things its way. How good has that gone for him?
And not following mainly the Germans. Who else should you follow?
Well, they followed Tesla. They blazed their own trail directly after
behind
the Model Y.
X. Yeah,
or y, X or Y? Which one?
One of them.
I don't even remember.
Model Y is not technically they're in front of the Model Y.
This must have been the X. I don't know.
Jaguar was always best setting the trend, not following it. And you have to look at the XK120, E-Type, and original XJ6. The I-Pace is a return to that mindset.
How about just name those instead? How about that?
Yeah, just put those on the list. I would probably agree with one of those at least.
XJ6?
Maybe. But certainly the XK120 or the E-Type.
I think the E-Type may be on this list.
I think it's further up.
Spoilers.
All right. So no to the I-Pace.
Hell no.
Number 37. The Land Rover Series 1.
No, because the Jeep is already on this list, and that's what they were trying to make their own version of.
Strongly agree.
They're like, oh, this Jeep thing's really great. We should build one. Guy, build one. There's that whole... Richard Hammond did the whole thing about how they were trying to make their own Jeep. Mm-hmm. If the Jeep's on this list, just do that.
It's not the first SUV, but undoubtedly the most influential. How?
Yikes.
Well, I would partially agree with that because they ended up everywhere. They ended up in Africa, Asia, all of Europe, and they turned into... Like, Jeeps were a couple places, but mainly you could find them in the United States. These are in farmers' fields on at least 3 continents, and they kind of brought the SUV all over the place.
Yeah, but that's a British Empire thing. And also, don't forget, when Mahindra, the Indian company, wanted to create their own off-roader, they didn't copy this.
No, they copied the Jeep.
They copied the Jeep.
Well, actually,
Yep.
they didn't copy. They used the plans from.
Yeah, no, that's true. They did not copy it. They made it.
They
They
made
made
an
it.
old
They
CJ.
plagiarized it.
Yeah.
All right. So no. Moving on to number 36, the Porsche Cayman GT4. I feel like if you're gonna, well, I mean, spoiler, but I feel like if you're gonna do Porsche, you'd want to do the 911. But
I
this
feel like
is this is I think it's got a chance to be on this list.
Yeah, my take on this whole list is it doesn't need to be 50.
This car's like 3 years old.
Yeah.
Is it
So is the I-Pace.
true? But that was at least so British. But is the contention here that the GT4 is not only good but better than the entire rest of the history of sports cars? It's only been out for 3 years. I don't know. Maybe it's the best car ever, but it's also at 36. Even this guy couldn't put it in the 20s.
Nope.
I'm sure that it's a fantastic car. It's great to watch on tracks. It looks extremely drivable. But no, I don't think so.
I disagree with you. I would leave it on here. I would leave it on here.
I'd basically leave it right where it is.
Okay.
You know, like you said, even he couldn't put it in the 20s. Okay, maybe we'll see. Maybe it deserves to be in the high 30s.
Is the Miata on here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Spoiler. All right. Number 35. The Mitsubishi Evo 6 Tommy Makinen.
Tommy Makinen.
Tommy Makinen. I mean, there's a reason Subarus are still around and Lancers aren't.
I am a Lancer fan, and I used to like Mitsubishi, and I like Tommy Makinen. The problem is he couldn't stop at Evo 6. He had to name the specific version of the car that you will, if you're listening, if you're within the sound of my voice, you have never seen this car. You will never see this car.
Right.
You don't know anyone who has one. No.
So just stop it at 6 and be done.
Yes,
Because that one at
exactly.
least you might be able to find somewhere.
You're not driving this car. Ever.
Nope. Tommy Makinen's family's not driving this car.
Exactly. Exactly. It's impossible. It can't be on this list.
No. All right. Number 34. Porsche 968 Club Sport.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. In pure handling terms, still the best balanced Porsche. Lightweight, clubby.
Front engine Porsche.
Best balanced, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I thought we were all supposed to hate front engine Porsches.
I love everything everybody else hates. We know this.
Yeah, that's
I'm the island of misfit toys over here.
I have no problem with front engine Porsches.
Nor do
In
I.
fact, maybe that even puts it on the list. Because,
Okay.
like, you know, if you want to be a real car guy, you
gotta drive the redheaded stepchild.
Okay,
Yes, you do.
business guy.
Yeah.
You drive your 911, but have you driven a front engine Porsche?
Have you driven a 968 Club Sport, bruh?
Bruh. I mean,
Because of the quirkiness, yeah.
fine. Okay, I guess. I'm not happy about it. But.
All right. Moving on to number 33. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, parentheses W140. Sure.
Why not just have an S-Class?
Why be so specific?
Well, because he's referring to this specific generation and calls it the S-Class of S-Classes, which is some Galaxy Brain shit. I'm pretty sure the S-Class now is the S-Class of S-Classes. It's way better than this.
I don't know. I know that these did come from the years where they had people doing wild shit, like standing on the doors and jumping on them, and like look at how over-engineered they were.
I guarantee
But-
you the new S-Class is stronger than this car.
I don't know, but
If only because it has to be. Like, cars now have to be... I don't know what the rollover crush test is for modern cars, but it's way more stringent than it was when they made this. Look at the thickness of those A-pillars
What A-pillars?
on this car. On the
That's what I'm saying.
the W140, yeah.
What A-pillars?
I'll bet you. I would put safe money on the fact that the modern car is stronger. Maybe they did. Maybe they were doing like Saab or Volvo class publicity stunts with the W140, and that's cool. I can respect that. But when we talk about S class, what is it we're supposed to be talking about? Luxury, safety, and just overall opulence, but not visible. You know what I mean?
Opulence. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the new S class is more S class than this S class.
Oh yeah.
If you know, know what I'm saying?
All right. Fine. Yes. Newer S class, not this one. So the list is wrong, but an S class belongs on our list.
I do believe
Yeah.
that is true.
Absolute Luxo barge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on. Number 32, the Miata.
Finally, a car that actually belongs on the list.
Totally. Totally. I don't think there's, I mean, unless someone's got something to say, I think this is pretty much a
that's
no-brainer.
a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
That's easy.
You got to drive a Miata before you die. Number 31, the Lotus Esprit Sport 300.
This listing just kills me because in the first sentence, the Elise is a far more important
car.
Well, that's solved then. The Spirit doesn't need to be on here. Done. Come on, what are we doing?
I think he has the Elise on this list too.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. That's what I mean. I think this doesn't need to be a 50 car list.
So he thought of 49 cars.
I think 25 cars and was like, how can I find ones that are like these to get it to 50?
How can we sell more ads, more clickbait online?
Yeah.
I hate to think that would happen, but you're probably right.
All right. Number 30, the Dodge Charger 440 RT.
There it is.
The one American car.
But what? No Mustangs?
I can't remember the whole list right now. I think
mean,
there might be one in
But
here.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, it did have a big... I mean, I guess it's muscle car versus pony car, but then they should both be on here.
That's true. I don't know.
I guess if you have to pick American muscle car era, the 440 Charger is a hell of a choice.
It's
I mean,
not
that's...
a
I was gonna say if you're
You know,
if you're talking muscle car,
In
not
all
Right.
sporty
fairness,
car.
Right.
You are correct.
Yeah.
It's not a bad choice.
If you're like, I drove if again, you're getting your car guy merit badges.
Yes.
You know, I drove a muscle car. That would be a good choice.
okay.
Which
I'll
one?
go with
Which one, bruh? The 440 RT? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Real car guy.
All right, let's put it down. All right.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Into the 20s. Car number 29. So like damn near the middle of the pack on this list. The Bentley 4.5 liter.
It's just an old
The epitome of vintage Bentley.
epitome.
Epitome. Yeah. So the funny part is, like, he's like, it's terrible to drive, but once you fix that, it's there are a few more pleasurable driving experiences.
And it's terrible to drive because the pedals are reversed and it has a
Synchro
transmission.
And no roof.
And no roof. A small detail.
And the cockpit is like it says, looks like a World War I biplane.
And solid rubber tires.
Yes.
And no suspension to speak of.
So, yeah. I mean, I
That
guess...
might be an earn your badge driver.
Nope, I don't want that badge. You can keep that. Wear it proudly.
Like the I survived the Bentley 4.5 liter.
Also, you're not driving this car either, guys.
Nope.
Like 5 people probably have these in a drivable condition. You're not driving one.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this guy might not have driven one, but he's just going off what other people say.
Yeah. I think, just to... I know we've been plowing through them here quickly. Just to reiterate, we're not saying that these cars are not important, in some way interesting.
I am saying some of these cars are not important.
I'm saying, but they don't belong on the 50 cars you have to drive before you die.
Yeah, this is the
You can go look at one in a museum.
context of his own list. This is his gambit, not ours.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You know, he's not even living up to his own statement. That's what I'm saying.
Definitely not.
So.
Next, number 28, Aston Martin DBS Superleggera.
Hey, Andrew, it's your favorite.
What?
It's a modern day DB5.
It's okay. It's not a modern day DB5 because this car is good.
Yes.
In some way. And it looks good.
Yes.
I think if you want to check the I drove an Aston Martin badge, this might be one of the best ones to drive.
Yep.
Again, yes, but I feel like it's another step too far. DBS, sure, but why make it the race package? Why do this? Why continually hunt for the model that's the rarest? This just seems like a flex. Like, why hunt for something even more expensive, even less attainable, even harder to drive on this list? A DBS would satiate everybody.
But you said earlier, if this is the 50 cars you have to drive list, like, the accessibility be damned. Because we talked about it with the very first car with the E46. Like, why would you start off the list with the most accessible? If this is the 50 cars you have to drive, this is an aspirational list. So that's what he did.
Yeah, but it can be bad in both directions. A car can be both too common and too rare.
Right.
And
It's like saying, for my bucket list, I want to go to Mars.
yeah.
Like, okay, but you're actually never going to do that.
This seems
like the
to
point
me-
of a bucket list is to get a list together so that you can focus, the last 10 years of your life or whatever. It doesn't seem like this is something that you'd be able to reach out and do.
Yeah, DBS, cool. Aston Martin, yeah,
general.
sure. DBS, sure. Superleggera, now you're putting a hat in a hat. you know what I mean? It's like, we get it. You're in the biz.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he wrote this for other journalists.
He definitely
Right.
did. He
Which is
definitely
fine.
did.
Post it in some, trade publication. Don't
Yeah, put it out in the newsletter.
don't give this to real people.
All right. Moving on. Did I skip one?
No.
Nope.
Nope. Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Mine went to 26. I need to go to 27.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, hey, the Lotus Elise.
The car that was already mentioned.
and the
Because
car
it's
that
more important.
saved the company.
Saved Lotus, yes.
Going back to its roots. And I agree.
Definitely. This is a strong yes
Yes,
from
this
me.
one needs to be
This
on
is
this
like
list.
maximum Lotus.
Personal bucket list car for me.
Yes.
Totally.
For me, I like the Exige better.
Fair.
So I would prefer on my bucket list, but it's like, do you want the convertible or the hardtop version of the same car?
Yeah.
That's not a real difference.
Right. And yeah, I mean, it's just always, it seems like a very fun car, and it's always been attainable. That's the other thing about this. I mean,
Yeah, you
they're
could buy one.
around and they were affordable. They remain affordable. Like you've probably seen this car and not really known what it was. They're just kind of small, cool, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely on the list. 26. One that you have not seen around. The McLaren 720S.
Saw one at the auto show.
We did see it at the
That's
auto
about
show.
it.
Just like everybody else.
Kind of going against everything I've said up to a point, I feel like this is allowable bullshittery. You know what I mean? Because this car is actually still in production. This car is current and modern.
Other than just expensive, to purchase.
Yes.
It's not limited really in any way. It's on a museum piece. It's not this particular one you have to find. Like,
Exactly.
if you had said McLaren 720S with this license plate on it or whatever, that would have been too much.
Superleggera.
Lewis Hamilton 720.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah. It's like, but it's expensive, but if you had enough money, this is entirely attainable.
And the weird thing about it is, and maybe they probably don't include like the 720. This is probably one of the cars, given those like supercar drive events.
Oh, yeah.
You may actually have the best chance to drive something in this class.
Well, especially
over something in a
because if
stupid
you
Jaguar.
and this might, I didn't go as far as say if you're a car guy, you'll appreciate the McLaren. For all the other people who are not car guys, they're going to go get in the Lambo or the Ferrari because they're
Right.
like, oh, I recognize that from TV. Or, this is gonna be like, you're like, oh, ooh, I'm going to drive this wonderful piece of engineering.
Yes.
This is what Jim Carrey drove in Dumb and Dumber.
Exactly. And I think that would be another way to earn your car guy badge. You go, you pay your $150 Groupon to go drive a supercar, and you pick this one.
Indeed.
The subtlety badge.
Yes, refinement badge. The S class is the subtlety badge.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, very nice.
We are halfway home And we are at number 25, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL.
I really want to hate this pick, purely just off of the rarity.
But
I mean, I guess I should probably just stick with that, huh? Go with the first instance.
I hate it.
And I almost agree. I think everybody, again, it's
But the birth of the Gullwing, guys.
it's the specificity. I think everybody should drive an SL.
But this specific model with
Is
the Gullwings,
one step too far.
I think that has to remain consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. And then the first car with a credible claim to the title, supercar, huh?
Because it did speed and had Gullwing doors.
It was a combination of performance and civility.
Ugh.
Can I do the next one?
Yes.
All right.
ahead.
All right. Yeah,
Number-
Tristan, you take
Yeah, take it over.
Number 24, the Citroën 2CV-AZ. So many letters. It's known everywhere that this car is a joke.
Yes.
Why is this on this list?
Because it has literally a dozen horsepower.
Because did you know that this guy works for a car mag?
Yeah. No, not interested. However,
But Tristan, being unhappy and on board at the same time is not possible.
that's simply not true.
That's true. I can be miserable anywhere.
I can be super miserable in this. Have you seen it? It's dismal.
It's a cowshed.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Number 23, the Ariel Atom.
Yes.
Yep.
I
on the
agree.
list.
That's
Fuck
like
this car.
that's going to be like that punches your, super stripped out track day toy.
Track special badge.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which almost the next one does as well from a different generation. Number 22, the AC Cobra.
No.
No, I would go, if I was going to do a Cobra, I'd do the Shelby version.
But more to the point, you want to talk about ultra, super, triple rarity?
Yeah.
Almost every one of these cars
Is a
that
kit
you've
car.
seen is not that car.
No. Yeah.
Right.
You've seen this car and you have never seen this car.
Yes.
At the same time.
Both.
All right. Number 21, the Porsche 911 992.
Is that current gen? Anyone?
I don't know the numbers.
I don't either.
Once it's the quote here is someone considerably richer than me once said, "Your motoring education is incomplete until you've driven a 911 hard."
Well, the important part of that sentence was at the beginning.
Yep.
However, when we're talking about things like the McLaren too, we did say that simple price is not a disqualifier.
You're absolutely correct. However, once again, he overspecified. A 911 belongs on this list.
Sure.
The 911 992, why?
Yeah, I'll buy that. I would say what we should do is go through and like cross out the parts on this that we don't agree with, and
Like the special edition
just
pieces?
cross out 992 and be like 911 is fine.
That
and post that.
Seems much more reasonable to me. They've been making
That's true.
911s for years. I mean, that's kind of the thing specifically about the 911, right? The theory is
But any one of them is good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Any one of them was, if not the leader, a leader in something, whether it's driving feel or straight out performance or looks or whatever, in its own time.
Its generation, yeah. So I would say, especially with a lot of stuff that we've talked about, this next one, number 20, the original Range Rover, I think that belongs on this list because of all the stuff we've talked about recently about the boom of the luxury SUV. Now we can talk about the SUV in general, and we settled on the Jeep being the choice there because it was
Yes.
kind of the progenitor. This is the first luxury SUV, and it's also still the Range Rover line is still remarkably interesting to me because they've managed the ultimate compromise. You can buy one of these and take it to the opera, and then on your way home, ford 18 inches of water.
See, now that's where I'd push back. Is the original generation important at all to this? I would say that this car belongs on the list. Is it important that it's an original one?
Again, the specificity.
Yeah. Again, I think I agree with Range Rover, but I guess if we go back then and reevaluate the other two, though, then we talk about the Jeep and the Land Rover. Because, sure, the Jeep had an impact on the war in America.
Yeah.
But the Land Rover probably had a greater SUV impact all over the world.
But also, Willys came before Jeep. Like, it was the before the before.
Right. They called it the Jeep. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
it was like,
So I guess in my mind, I mean, and
if we're going for specificity or not.
well, true, but even in
Like-
here, and I don't know if this is true, maybe it's wrong. He cites the Range Rover as not being the first luxury SUV.
No.
Is the Wagoneer being the first
Right.
one. Although it is undoubted, this is the Survivor, right? This is
Right.
the one
Yes.
that made it.
Although the Wagoneer might be coming back.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I don't know.
hold on to your butts.
I'm of yeah. I'm of two minds on this. I think that there's something to be said for it being the original gen, and I also think this might be the way I'm leaning, that the concept of the original Range Rover kind of got broken up into like the Land Rover and the Disco. So it almost seems like those two. Seems like the Disco is almost closer to the original then.
I think they ended up square like the original, but
Yeah.
I think when you look at the year, the generations that they were in, that was just the style. I think the styling might have changed, but the focus of it being a remarkably, leather lounge chair, excellent place to be, that at the time looked refined. I know it's square now, like
Right.
everything from that generation was, and then also an incredibly capable vehicle. That's still the case with the Range Rover.
True. Okay, one final test that'll determine it. What if this was the G-Wagon instead?
No.
Okay. So then it probably should be the original. Because the G-Wagon's been around, but it doesn't have like the legacy.
And I think it came from a different place. It's a military truck with lipstick on it.
True.
Versus
And
this is designed to be that from the very
very
beginning.
expensive lipstick as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
buy that. Yep, original. I'm on board.
All right, on to number 19. The Ford Sierra Cosworth.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I mean, I get it. It's a race car for the road.
Yep.
It was one of the very most accessible at the time.
And you know what? I don't have any evidence to back this up. I would imagine that you could find probably not this car, not this version of this car, but some version of a Sierra Cosworth in the UK, which we obviously didn't get here. But we're in the top 20 now. Is there not a better option?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is a UK list, so
Yeah, that's true.
it's not accessible for anyone
It feels like
who
a no
listens
to
to us
me.
on a regular basis. So
It feels like a no to me.
All right, I agree. On to number 18. Aston Martin DB4 GT.
Or maybe it's a DB5. No one knows.
I think there's there's a niche here for the small hardtop British sports car.
Yes.
But again, I think we're too specific. Could it have been a DB4 not GT? Probably.
yeah,
Could it have been a DB5? Probably.
because in the way you're going to drive it, it's not going to matter.
Could it be an MGB GT? Maybe.
Oh. I'm actually I would go with that over this.
We already
I
put
mean-
Aston on here.
Yeah. So I think I would say no to this one based on two things, too specific, and it could be about a dozen other things. Even if you're gonna go with DB4, it's too specific.
Yes.
And you don't have to go with DB4 to check off this badge on your car guy thing.
True, and I'm just looking here because something about what he was saying rang false. Once again, he cited that this car has James Bond looks. However, it does not, because James Bond never drove a DB4. Does anyone care about that? Only me?
Well, it kind of looks like a DB5.
Oh, it looks exactly
It
the
looks
same.
exactly
It
the
looks
same.
exactly the same. But
So-
every time I brought that up, everyone's like,
Well,
"Oh
like-
no, it's a DB5. It's totally different." You guys don't know. You don't know.
So there are people who auditioned for James Bond who didn't play James Bond, but they could still have James Bond looks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can see a guy in a suit walking down the street. But,
It looks like James Bond. And then no one immediately jumps to, that is James Bond.
Any guy with a blonde haircut, a close crop haircut, looks like James Bond now. That's who James Bond is.
I was thinking more like Pierce Brosnan.
I was thinking Craig.
Interesting article I read about how Pierce Brosnan is probably the best Bond, but we're not a James Bond
I
podcast.
agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I was like, yeah, I'm down with it.
Anyway,
moving
number
on.
17.
The Lancia Stratos.
I mean, I think it should probably be on here.
Yeah.
That's one of those weird ones. Like, if you kind of like the Quattro, if you wanted to drive a wacky rally car from the 80s, 70s, and 80s, this would,
Also very much unattainable. However, again, it's not that the nature of a bucket list everything has to be easy. It's just that you may have a chance to drive one of these if you live in Europe.
right. If you live in Europe, or if you go there on a trip and ask somebody and pay them for it.
Right.
This is not as vanishingly rare, I'm sure, as like those Bentleys.
Or that 500 total model production frickin' Alpha.
Right. You know, you'd have to be nice to somebody, but I bet you could get them to drive it. You know,
Let you drive it. Yeah.
All right, on to number 16. The BMW M3,
An M3 that actually belongs on this list.
E30.
The E30.
Yep.
but it falls into the same trap of he should have just said M3 and put it on here once.
I would agree with that if not for the fact that the E30 has stood the test of time better than any of the other M3s. There are tons,
Which is true,
of models that fall under the E30. I mean, there's convertibles and I's and IS's and 4 doors, 2 doors, all
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
But all of them in the E30 family kind of turn out to be good. They all have a very similar driving dynamic, and that's what's good about the car to begin with.
And these now have turned into, because of the accessibility, like you see these a lot in the SECA club events. Like these are a lot of people's starter autocross or track.
Even
track
I
cars.
almost bought one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I guess if you put it as like, I'm trying to figure out what particular need it fills other than like a self-fulfilling, like, oh, I drove an E30.
I think it's like Nick said, it's an entry. It can be an entry level road course racer with next to no work.
Yep. Besides just cage and a fire extinguisher on the
Yep.
inside, and you're pretty much ready to go.
New set of tires, and I mean that's the thing. Provided you do your regular maintenance and get it tuned up, whatever. It's a car that goes. It's the joy of feeling fast, going slow. And the whole model range is a perfect example of that. So I will make an argument in this case for a very specific family of models, and I think it's like 6 or 7 years. Like it's a pretty big range of cars.
That's true.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like, that's not too specific where it's like it was made 1 year and there were 500 of them, or
Right.
you can get these in many different flavors.
That's true. So actually, we do have to amend this. We wouldn't want the BMW M3. We'd want the BMW 3 Series E30. Because he does specifically name the M3 here. But the whole of that 3 Series is what you want.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. All right, on to number 15. The Fiat Cinquecento.
No, the Mini.
Nope.
Fiat 500, yeah. No, I think the Fiat 500 has come back into people's consciousness in this country and the rest of the world because of the new one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an Italian, you will say this over the Mini. If you're anybody else in the world, you say the Mini.
Mini. Totally
Mini.
agree.
Mini.
Number 14. The Lexus LFA.
Yup. Yup.
Nope.
Yes.
Convince me, both of you. Not at the same time.
I'll go first so that you get a chance to rebut, and we'll see how we can do.
Give me no.
So, in my opinion, the LFA, although the engine is sublime, it sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. I think there have been, since, better cars that do the hand-built Japanese engineering / race car better than the LFA. I think because that's what you're looking for, because it's not a luxury car. It's not strictly a sports car. It's kind of like oddly specific, like hand-built Japanese GT. And I think the GTR does it better.
Would there be a GTR without the LFA?
Doesn't matter.
Ooh, repartee.
I think it does matter.
Why?
I don't.
And I think yes. Because they were already on their way with the Skyline.
Oh,
Skyline came before the LFA.
very valid. And the GTR did not follow in the footsteps of the LFA necessarily. I think you can make an argument that as the line evolved, it became
ended up
slightly more
that way.
luxurious, kind of bloated, and you know, all the things.
But especially
GTR did.
those first ones were relatively hard edged and more driver / car person focused.
Yeah, they were the logical evolution from the R34.
Yeah, a big jump, but you can follow the line.
Correct.
You know, and so that's my take, is that the GTR fits this class better as far as you have to say you drove one. Now, would I rather watch an LFA go by? Yes. I think it looks better. I think it sounds better. But I think from a driving perspective, that's what I always read about them, is that they're interesting. They're hand-built. They look like a spaceship on the inside. But they have never been said to drive very well. And they're not a driver's car. They're
If they don't drive very well, that's what the skilled true drivers want to tackle, though.
Oh my God.
They want to say that they wrangled one of those in.
then we have to put the Model T back on the list.
Don't die on this hill. Do not die on this hill.
Well, the Model T isn't a performance car. That's a completely different thing.
But real drivers want to say they wrangled one of these.
Don't do it.
There's no wrangling. You just sit in it.
Don't do it, bro. I'm telling you. Because yes, while there is an element of wrangling that is desirable in cars, right? The automotive track milestone for its entire existence has been the 911, which only requires wrangling if you overstep the line and it tries to kill you. Otherwise, throughout the history of that car, it's been known to have pristine handling. So I guess what I'm saying is, yes, you want your driver's car to have an edge to it. You want it to have a moment that you can fight against, a moment of fight back. But the car still has to be good, and a strong piece of evidence that the LFA is not a driver's car, despite its absolutely... I love the look of this thing. Always have. Love the sound of the thing. Always have. You can still get these new, and they've been out of production for 7 years.
Well, that's the Lexus pricing conundrum. I mean, they
In a small way.
They outprice themselves consistently all the time.
But that's kind of the point. You can buy one of these for less than the LS500. Can't you? How much are these?
No, they're more than that.
No, they're
I don't
surprisingly.
know how much they are. How much is an LFA?
The one that I saw is probably a special case, but it was Paris Hilton's
Paris Hilton's
4,000 mile LFA for $500,000.
Okay, no, this car's
When it was
ridiculous.
new, it was simply ridiculously expensive.
Is it $1 million car? Surely not.
$375,000 base price.
Oh, go to hell. Get out of here. That's
So again,
no
it's a
for me.
Lexus pricing.
There are
problem.
only 500 of them in the world manufactured. They're not sold out yet, and they cost
Get outta
$375,000
here
when
with
they're
that.
new.
No. Not
No.
not in a million years. Next.
I think so.
Say it. They can't see the list.
No, I was saying I'm ready to move on.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah, yes,
oh, yes. Yeah, we're ready.
number 13, the Caterham 7. I say no. Because again, we can talk about where things come from, etc. Would we have the Ariel Atom without the Caterham 7? Maybe not, but I think the Ariel Atom is still a better... If you're going to drive... This is what I'm talking about again with this 50-car list.
Yeah.
Make it a 25-car list, take this off, and only leave the Atom on and be done.
I would do the Atom before the Caterham.
Yeah.
I disagree. If only for the reason that
Has a big 7 on the front.
No. The way I view this car is maybe interesting and maybe different. But through the way I see it, there's been a history of kit cars, right? There's always been, especially in America, an undercurrent of cars that kind of peaked during the 80s. They were like kits or modified, especially, you know, like old C3s would get
Yeah.
crazy body kits and gull wings and this
Yep.
and that and the other. But the 7 is an interesting case because it's not that expensive. It's not overly complex. It's a kit car that you can maybe even have a shot at realistically building, so you don't have to, you know, weld the roll cage together and this
That is
and
true. If you look at it from the kit car perspective,
Yes, and
I might buy that.
and then at the end of the day, if you followed their complex instruction manual, you have a car that you can take to the track and go faster than someone with.
Yeah, not a guy with an Atom, but somebody.
Right.
Yeah, you go faster than everybody but the Atom.
And you'll corner, you know, maybe it's not like a super fast car or anything like that, but you're going to corner at 3 times the speed of almost anyone else on the track.
It is a fun car to drive.
It looks
or it
super
would
fun.
be a fun car.
It makes
to
me
drive.
wish we had enough money and followers to build one ourselves.
God, I would love that.
That would be a really cool project.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. But I mean, so I guess that's what I'm saying. Not viewing it as a pre-made car from Caterham, but viewing it as the it was originally just a kit, right? Or did they sell it?
I think they started adding the ability for them to put it together
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Viewing it as the kit, I think it deserves a spot.
Okay. I'll buy the amendment as a kit car.
What do you think?
From a kit car perspective, yeah, but aren't we taking away from driving and just more of the overall project? This is 50 cars you must drive, not you must build.
However,
That's true. But even if you got into it as someone else's project and it was that good, I don't know.
so the whole premise is every self-respecting petrol head has their bucket list of cars.
Right.
And I think you have to look at this one from the perspective of a car person would love to drive a car they built. Potentially.
Well, I mean, and also there's obviously going to be some level of disagreement. Nick would obviously have the LFA on my list. This would obviously be on mine.
Yeah.
Just because I happen to like the concept of
Yeah.
it.
Right.
All right. Number 12. The Rolls-Royce Phantom.
I don't think so.
I think specifically because he didn't say a generation.
Weirdly.
He goes on to talk about it in the caption, but let's disregard that. All the way from the, one we always make the funny quote about from Indiana Jones. I even like the color. Though that was also a Rolls-Royce Phantom. It had
Phantom
a
2.
number. But if you take every Rolls-Royce Phantom ever made, does that qualify?
It probably has to, right?
I don't feel like maybe just not the Phantom, because when I look at the Phantom, I'm thinking if you're buying the Phantom, you're not driving it. Someone else is driving you.
Which is
Super
true.
true.
That's
you
the thing
you
that
buy
I
the
thought.
Phantom to sit in the back seat, not to drive it.
Right. If you want to drive a Rolls-Royce, you buy.
Wraith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Ghost or
Yeah.
I would probably put the Wraith on instead of the
Cullinan.
Phantom.
Cullinan, get out of here.
not the Cullinan?
Fuck no.
I would say a Rolls Royce though. I think a Rolls Royce.
I think a Rolls-Royce. I think
But the Wraith, because you don't drive a Phantom.
True.
you get
If you're
driven
paying
in a Phantom.
$600,000 for a car, you're paying a driver
You
to
better not.
chauffeur you around. Yeah.
All right.
You're probably right.
Number 11, Volkswagen Golf GTI. But again, too specific. Mark 1.
Out of all the generational arguments he's made, or model and generational arguments, because I did make the E30 argument, I do think there's a similar argument to be made in terms of the Mark 1. I just don't think it's necessary.
Right.
I think that you could just say GTI, even what the Mark, what's one that no one likes, quote unquote?
Mark 4.
Mark 4. Yeah, you drive one of those, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are much like square headlight Jeeps and everything else. Those are just frowned upon by GTI purists.
Yes.
You take a little bit of carpet out and, they're fine. They go. They're seeing a weird resurgence in the Volkswagen community.
totally are.
Because of
Yep.
course they are.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think yes.
Agreed.
If you take off the Mark 1. So that's the problem with this list apparently. All right, number 10.
Top 10.
Top 10, here we
We
go.
made it.
Breaking it
Final
once.
countdown.
Breaking into the top 10. The Lamborghini Miura.
Yes.
Are you ever going to find one to drive?
No. but a man can dream.
But you made that argument about the Bentley and the Alfa, and there's a few other cars, and this is like, dude, you're not driving that. You're looking at it in a museum.
That is super.
And
this
what
this is
purpose does it
rarer
serve?
than those other ones, I would bet.
absolutely
Right, and what purpose does it serve versus several other types of Lamborghini to say, I've driven a Lamborghini?
And it
Yeah.
says right here, I know Miuras are meant to be rubbish to drive.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not great. You're right. It does not belong on the list.
Hey, number 9, the Alpine A110.
Alpine. One of the finest driver's cars yet conceived.
Top 10, a car that's definitely less than 5 years old. It might be 2 years old. Top 10.
Yeah, I don't get it. And we're never going to get a chance to get it.
Yes.
Unless, again, we go over to Europe somewhere and we rent one.
Ask James May nicely to drive his.
Yeah.
And also,
He hasn't blocked us yet.
but in this description,
Probably won't.
in this description, he says that it changed the way a complacent world thinks about sports car design.
And it looks like half like a 911, half like a TT.
It just didn't. It didn't do that at all.
I've seen no pub on this car.
I've seen tons of pub on this car. Not one person has talked about the design because the design is garbo.
Garbo.
It looks like a Miata had sex with a 350Z. It's not impressive.
Yeah, I don't know what it's doing here.
Again, maybe I can't speak for how it drives. Maybe it is sublime.
I'm sure that it is.
Who knows? His reason is not right, but maybe it belongs on its own merits. I'd love to drive one to find out. Somebody who has one, buy me a ticket to Europe and I'll tell you. Number 8, Mini.
Finally.
Original. I think we already talked about this. Yes, belongs on the list.
Right.
I agree.
Moving on. Anybody else want to take some in the top 10?
Andrew, bring us home.
All right. Why'd you make me do this? Number 7, the Peugeot 205 GTI.
The defining hot hatch, not just of its era, but of any era.
That's a lie, so that's a no.
Yep.
Number 6, the Ferrari. Did that just for you, Nick.
Thank you.
Which one? No,
Shut up.
even I know this one.
I don't know that I can make any commentary on this. You're never driving one.
Yeah.
And I think
This was the media flex again.
And
Yeah.
also, this is the car that Ferrari doesn't let the media people drive on the road. So get out of here with this.
And also, I think even from a less unattainable standpoint, we all know that this is Ferrari's late kind of one half butt cheek entry into the hybrid hypercar.
Yes, there's an Optima boat battery strapped behind the front
Right.
seat.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's a hybrid.
Definitely take the McLaren or the
918,
or the
come on.
918.
Yeah.
As much
Duh.
as I'm against Porsche track dominance as a theme, the 918 has come out of this comparison, even next to the P1, looking like an absolute rock star.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to drive, okay, may put on your list. I'm gonna go.
With a hybrid hypercar,
That's the one.
the 918 is your
1,000%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lotus Elan, no. The second 911 entry, again, we could have just ended this ahead by just saying 911. But specifically, the Porsche 911 GT3 RS 997 Gen 2.
Way too
Too
many
specific.
toggles on that one.
I am not engaging any further with that. We already talked about the 911. Number three, Jaguar E-Type. Kristen's going to say yes and for number 3.
I might have ever the chance to drive one of these. And I have spoken to someone who has actually driven one firsthand. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot going on here.
Can you drive something secondhand?
No, I spoke to them firsthand.
Oh, you spoke to them
Yeah,
first.
video games.
Listen. No, you can put your headphones on and sit really close to a YouTube video. That's driving secondhand.
POV drive.
Yeah. Gross. And I think that there's something to this, that 4-liter straight six, 4.2 liter straight six, has a weird head snapping ability. They did crazy stuff like inboard brakes to make this, a real sports car. So I think, I think that's one thing. I think the iconic nature of it is like when you're a car guy, you say, I got to drive an E-Type. That means something. And again, I don't think they're entirely unattainable.
True.
If my dad has his way, we could all drive my uncle's if he gets it out of the garage.
I would say yes to this car simply. I would say yes to it, but it doesn't belong at 3.
I would agree with that even.
Yeah.
But I do think it belongs on this list.
Yes, absolutely.
Number 2. This is a little bit of a litmus test here. Number 2, the McLaren F1. Rarity argument just dominates this car.
I was just going to say, you're not going to drive one.
Absolutely dominates it. You'd be better off putting the Veyron on this list than the F1.
Yeah, you'd
Which, by the way, oh, wait, I'm not going to get to it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to it in a second. But I didn't want to spoil it because we only got one left.
It was the lead car. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, F1. So this was the cover photo for this list here was number 1. And number 1 is the Ferrari F40. Ugh.
I mean, I guess
Love the car.
Love the car.
Love the car.
it's rare,
First car to go 200 miles an hour.
allegedly.
Not allegedly.
Provenly.
Even you saw the video of it.
The speedometer in my
Don't
dad's GTI
ever
was
talk
also
to me about
wrong.
the speedometer. God
That
damn.
car,
Zapruder film ass over here.
That car sitting still goes 10 miles an hour. God. Anyway,
This is tough.
You don't even like Porsche enough to be making this argument.
I don't,
by the way.
but I will.
He doesn't like Porsche enough, but he hates Ferrari that
That's
much.
what it is.
Yes, but I think if you're a car person, you need to drive one. I still want to drive a Ferrari someday.
I don't. Okay.
If for nothing else on my end, just to see what all this fuss is about.
I would like to drive a Ferrari that I like.
Right, a Ferrari. Not necessarily the F40.
Yeah, but I mean,
But you like the F40. You love the F40.
I love the F40. But I mean, I guess I'm saying is that while it's not like I'd turn down the opportunity to drive like a California or something like that, in my heart of hearts, that's not what I want. I want to drive the F40. I want to drive the Maranello.
Right.
And
right.
that's kind of where that list, the 488.
488.
So those 3.
The F8 Tributo.
Yes, I would drive that one as well. But I feel like this car might actually skate on the rarity scale because it is rare, but they actually like made them. They made some of them.
Right.
Although I don't think the production numbers were astoundingly high.
How many of any Ferrari get made though? I mean,
I was gonna say, I mean,
think they made-
1,500.
I think they made 10,000 last year. We posted that article on Facebook about the
of
Ferrari
all their
factory.
cars, yeah.
10,000 across all models.
Yeah. So I think Ferraris are going to be rare, but knowing that if you want to drive one, this would be one of the more excellent choices.
I was right, 1,300.
Yeah.
That there are some.
Yes. You could pay somebody to drive theirs.
I think I would put this on my list.
Yes.
Yeah, I would take that too. Like I said, because I feel like you should drive a Ferrari if you're a car person. Again, even if you're not interested, just to find out what all the fuss is about. And this would be the one to drive.
Definitely,
I think.
or at least one of the best that you could pick.
F40 or the 488, in my opinion.
Yes,
We haven't seen much real life or anything from the Tributo yet.
Right.
But-
Exactly. That's true.
So,
Welp.
so that's auto cars.
That's the list.
now the funny part is when Andrew sent us this list,
Yes.
he said there's this list, and then they also made an American version of this
Exactly.
list. And it's different because it has a charger on it. The American one does.
I did say that.
You may notice that we mentioned a charger in this one as well. And we were reading from the British list. So Andrew was wrong, which is a surprise. And B, the only difference we come to find out between the British list And the American list is that the American list is in a clickbaity slideshow format, and the British one is just in a list. That's the only difference. The only difference is that they're selling Americans clickbait slideshowy
Garbage
garbage.
On MSN.com.
on MSN.com.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that website was still around, America.
I do, because ugh. Internet Explorer. Still the default homepage.
So, in general, when I look at this list holistically, I came out with like 3 overall takeaways, and we touched, I think, on all of them as we just went through car by car. So, like, number 1, this list was meant for other journalists, not for the common folk.
It had to be, right?
Us, not for us or any of our listeners.
That's what it feels like to me.
It's not for us or any of us, or even any of our listeners, like some people we know, who actually would be in Europe and could maybe even see these. You still can't drive them.
I mean, maybe we're just totally off on the European cars, but it still feels too specific. And, you know, when you come to like the Sierra Cosworth and stuff like that, and he specifies like, yeah, there's a rear wheel drive on, but don't get that. Get this. It's just like this. That all seems like nonsense to me.
Yeah. My second takeaway was the title of the article is wrong. If he wants to leave these cars in the list, it's not the 50 cars you must drive. It should be just like the 50 best or something like that.
50 cars I drove.
Or yeah, like if he's concrete on these cars being on the list in this order, it cannot be titled 50 cars you must drive.
That's a good point. Somehow, to me, the impact of them being numbered got lost in the discussion about how ridiculous the list is. But you're right. There has to be some import. There's a reason why someone's third-hand BMW M3 was 50 and the F40 was number 1. And ostensibly it's because the Ferrari F40 is probably like the best car he's ever driven. I think it's
Or
a safe,
something, yeah.
a safe assumption. But the things in between, and even choice 50, doesn't make sense.
Let's say even if you, for whatever reason, enjoyed
Go ahead. Sorry.
the Citroen 2 CV,
Yeah.
how would you put that as a better driving, better, more enjoyable, better looking anything, even compared to number 50?
I really have no clue.
What about the cars that didn't make this list? Bugatti Veyron, a Mustang,
Yeah, any
a Corvette.
Well, you see, he's never driven any of those. So how
You mean to
could they
tell
be
me an
good?
automotive journalist from Autocar hasn't driven a Mustang?
They
You know
do
what?
sell those there.
I feel like that might be the truth.
Or
no
a Corvette?
Corvettes? Come on.
Veyron?
2 911s, though.
No.
And the
3,
honorable mentions
right?
have like 2 more.
All those are honorable mentions.
Like, anyway, and my last takeaway on this was this dude was way too. He spoke in all hyperbole, like the entire time.
Yeah, but I do that.
Yeah, but you do it with a certain charm.
Oh, wow.
You can get away with it.
Yeah,
compliment
kind
me.
of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, talking about what the Peugeot GTI as the car that defined every era of hatchback.
hot hatches?
Get the fuck out of here,
That
dude.
is, that is a gross thing to say. I just don't even see any way how that could be true.
Well, it's not. I know. Like, it's not even close.
I know, but I mean, even on a list that included the Golf Mark 1, like, stop. Just stop.
So what we're going to do, well, you guys let us know what you think about this list. We'll post the link. You can look through it on your own time or just listen and follow along or whatever. Let us know what you think. What we're going to do, we're going to figure out a way to come up with our own 50 car list, and we're just going to brainstorm behind the scenes how we present it to you. If we're going to do one marathon episode, probably not. We might do it in parts, but we're going to try to figure out our own 50 car best drive list.
Car bucket list.
Yeah, car bucket list.
Is what this is.
Maybe
what
that's
this
like our
should have been.
maybe that's like our season finale this year. It's like a 3-part finale or something.
Yeah, or something.
We just make a bucket
We'll
list,
figure it
something
out.
like that. We'll figure it out. But you know what? You've sat and listened too much for now. We're gonna get you out of here. So thank you so much for sticking with us. We appreciate you listening. But don't just listen. We want you to interact. You know what? We put out a message on Facebook. We're looking for questions to answer on our show, and we've got some responses
If we
back.
actually have enough, we might start to be able to put a show together.
Yeah, we
So,
got I would say at
good
least
job.
a half an episode
Good
at this
job,
point.
guys.
Yeah, we got about 7-8 questions already.
That's exciting.
There's some serious ones. There's some not so serious ones. So we appreciate you. Keep it coming. Don't stop. You can reach us through our website, checkenginepodcast.com. We have an email address there. It is inbox@checkenginepodcast.com. So shoot us an email. We're also available on all the major social pages. We're on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, what's the Twitter handle?
At Check Engine Pod.
Tristan, what is the Instagram handle, if you don't mind?
At Check Engine Pod.
So look us up there, like, follow, DM, post on our wall. Let's get in touch. Let's interact a little bit. If you're really, really, really into what we're doing and you want to support the cause, we do have a Patreon page. It is patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or there is a support button right on our homepage at anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast. We thank you in advance for any donation you want to make to our tiny little podcast. If you don't want to donate, we understand. The least you could do, though, is maybe take 10 seconds to write a good review, maybe 4 or 5 stars, if you don't mind, or click that subscribe button. The worst that happens is that it tells you when we've got something new to post.
Yeah, which you want to know anyway.
Yeah, you want to know. And it doesn't cost you anything. And it helps us out in the big relevance algorithm of podcast
Big
searches.
podcast algorithm in the sky.
In the tubes.
We need to soundbite that. Guys, who are we thanking, or what are we thanking before we get out of here?
I just want to thank Andrew Frankel for putting together this absolutely garbage list, because content, and also because now we have a way to improve on what may be a thing. Like, you don't often see car bucket lists, even in a period where we're at peak listicle, right?
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to cars. This is a new one, and I don't doubt that we will see more versions of this, including from this very podcast. So I guess thanks for the idea. Sorry you did it wrong.
Tristan?
Let's see. I would like to thank, on a personal note, veterinarians
Okay.
taking care of my puppy.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, vets. I would like to thank Andrew Frankel's editor for letting
him make this one.
for letting this one slip through.
That's funny.
Whoever the editor is at Autocar,
Congratulations.
You did it. You did a great job.
fantastic. And thank you to all of you who listen and who subscribe and who interact and who support us. We love you. We cannot wait to talk to you again. Until then, take care.